RoundTable is, professionals in the real estate industry is more about business, but it's also trying to help the generation coming and also to ensure that as much as possible, some of those stories we think are just normal to us, we don't realize that it does a lot for others. So it's basically just impact, vulnerable conversation.
It's so easy for the market to label developers negatively, and that is why design thinking is very critical. And I say to developers, it is not expensive to have a facility manager as part of it, because they're not going to be on that process every day or every week. It gets to a certain point where they need to now get to sites to be sure that who is this plumber, what are you doing with this, are you able to shut down this apartment, are you able to close this, because those are the issues you then find that are very difficult when you are running maintenance.
Hi guys, you're welcome to the Roundtable. As you know, the Roundtable is where we discuss very vulnerable conversations with business. There's a soft spot for real estate. Today we have a special guest. He's a friend of the house. You've seen him before, and we're going to always be evolving with topics. We're going to involve other people, other professionals, just to give you the best. He's a longtime friend, very seasoned professional in the real estate industry, facility management, advisory, name it. Members of so many bodies like FIAPCHI, RICS, NIEVs and all of that. I welcome Osagie Alfred. He's the managing partner of WNR. So just stay tuned and just listen to some of the nuggets that are really going to help you. Hi, Osagie. You're welcome, Osagie.
Thank you very much, Architect Jide.
Yeah, so Osagie, we've done this before, and I've told you that we're going to have a lot of evolving conversations moving forward, right? Basically, this is for impact. It's mainly for, and with that is basically sustainable. But today, I want us to sort of delve into quite a number of things.
Okay.
And there are things that we've spoken about, and whenever these things happen, I feel those conversations should not end on a table, but we should try and just take it to the public so that at least as much as possible they also get to gain and understand what it is. I feel that some of us don't speak as much for what we know, and it's important that we get that done. So pretty much today I just start with for the purpose of those that don't know who you are, just a brief introduction, what you do, and just basically about yourself. Then we'll just delve into the first question, which is more about a very punching topic. A lot of people have come out there to say that houses are overpriced, and developers or landowners are also overpricing rent. So we'd like you to go into that before we step a little bit into the conversation of rental as well. But I think first of all, just give us a brief introduction.
Okay, thank you, Architect Jide. I'm glad to be here once again.
Yep.
As you rightly said, I'm the senior partner for West Norwood Realty, which is abbreviated as WNR. And I'm an estate surveyor and valuer, member of several associations, Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, International Federation of Real Estate, which is FIAPCHI, French headquartered, also a member of the Auctioneers Group in Nigeria, and a lot of associations like that, basically just because you need a combination of body of knowledge to be able to advise clients as regards their assets. So what I do primarily is to help safeguard people's property investment and also help ensure sustainable growth along that path. So I'm glad to be here once again.
Good, super. So, we just delve right into it. So in terms of overpriced houses, Nigeria, are they really overpriced? We see people comparing a house in South Africa, a house in, say, the States, Texas, California. Also, the quality of the house. And they're trying to compare it to what you see in Banana, Ikoyi, Lekki. Yes, the different developers, everybody has a different pricing. Is there even a regulation to the pricing? Just speak about it.
Okay. So one thing I would like to start off with is the characteristic of real estate. One fundamental characteristic is real estate is heterogeneous. So as we are currently, we have a terrace here. No two terrace units are the same. Because if on this side of the terrace You have maybe Microsoft. Now, if you have 6 terraces down this road all together, and you have maybe an Amala Spot on the other end, the value of this is going to be different from that, just within the same block, within few meters. And that's the influence of location. Now, when people try to compare prices, there are different factors you need to put together. Apart from the fact that if I'm buying real estate not just from a market perspective. There's something we call investment value. People buy for prestige. Some people, they don't even care about the prices you are putting on the property. They just want to be staying close to maybe an Adenuga in Banana Island, or probably hold an office by Water Carrington where you have maybe a Stanbic headquarters. Now, it is just because of prestige, it's just because of preferences. So when you try to value assets in that regards, there will be a situation of mispricing of assets. You must understand what each player, who the players are in the market, and why they are doing what they are doing. Because if I'm a first-time home buyer and I'm going into a Banana Island to buy a property, the process I will go through will be different from maybe a Dangote wants to buy a property, or maybe the MD of maybe a bank wants to buy a property in Banana Island. Our perspectives are different. The sources of income are different. The developers we are going with are different. Knowing fully well that property materials, though we say we have some standardization organization, but we all know that developers are buying different things, and they are going to source for these things in different locations. For instance, we have tiles, Spanish tiles, we have Chinese tiles, you have Nigerian tiles, and they all come in different ceramic quality. Now, the question is, if you just see a tile on the floor, you think it's just a tile. Whereas it may just be about 50,000 per square meter more than this. And if you don't look at them from that perspective, you feel this is overpriced. Now, there's another perspective of people wanting to put market value on a property and believing that because I have spent this amount of money, I must be able to achieve this amount. So it's just like saying, I have a land in Lekki Phase 1. Now let me use Ikeja, for instance, where you don't need to do so much work on the soil. Yes. So I compare it with a place in one village. The cost of putting up that property and this other one in the village may not be too far away. Maybe just statutory payments, maybe slight differentials in labor and just materials, but it cannot be up to a 30 million naira difference in the cost, of 40 million naira difference in the cost of construction in a way. But the price of that land makes up for the differences. Now, one people will say is, because I have spent 100 million naira putting up this property in the village or in Mowe, doesn't mean that I can command 100 million naira. So there is a place of market acceptance. There's a place of what is the market saying, what is the market demand like in the market. So yes, there are some properties where some developers have done, and you go in and you say, I can't ask my client to buy this because originally I can't even buy it for myself. At the same time, there are some that you need to understand quality. Then you would understand that this is quality. Finally, on this matter, I would also want to say that if someone like Dangote is building for only a certain level of people, or let's just use Donald Trump when he was running his real estate, if you compare what he was doing and what an average Nigerian would be doing in the same market, the prices will be different. Because somebody wants to have that prestige in his mind that, I'm buying from Donald Trump. I am buying from Equatlantic. So just putting a bungalow on a land in Banana Island will be very expensive. Why? Because you cannot do a development on Banana Island land without paying some level of approval fees. without doing something. So when you want to compare, you need to strip all the parts properly and compare to say what is the value of the land here, what is the average cost of construction here, considering the similarities in materials, quality. Yes.
What's the size of the house?
Exactly.
Have you compared the size? Have you the
Yes.
total footage of the house?
Then also consider economic fluctuations, exchange rates. Where are we sourcing these materials from? What loans are these people using to buy what they are buying and building what they are building?
Because as they're calling the price, nobody's asking what are the so you say the construction cost is this. Have you talked about the cost of funds? Have you talked about that? And then I heard someone also mention that you have an old guy that used all his money to build his house. He's trying to, the cost of rice, the cost of yam has increased, and then the only thing he lives on in retirement is the rent that comes from the house. Are you saying he should stick to the same price? It's gonna make us delve into rent. But the next question I wanted to ask about that same value question is who determines the value?
Okay, so from an estate of yours perspective, value is interpreted from market behavior. So what market wants at a certain time has higher value. So there was a time in the market when I always use this example, when people were building 3 bedrooms, 1 toilet, 1 bath. And there was a time it moved to 2 toilets, 2 baths. There was a time it got to, the owner of the apartment wants to have his own privacy. Others can share. We got to the point where you have 4 toilets, 3 baths. I could remember in Ikeja then, if you are sourcing for property, you don't just say 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. You must describe it with the toilets and the baths. How many toilets, how many baths, 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and the likes. Now, it is because market would reason a certain way if it has 4 toilets, 3 baths. If it has 3 toilets, 2 baths. Or if it has 1 toilet, 1 bath. Those are very fundamental. And is it in an estate and all? So no individual naturally should put prices, determine value. However, the price, I can put my selling price at 1 million naira, whereas average market is saying maybe 600,000. If a renter comes and says, can I get it for 700? We're already above market. But what happens is, the assumption about market rent or market value is that we are both knowledgeable. The prospective tenant and the owner of the property are both knowledgeable about the market. They know what is happening in the market. They are willing, they have not been coerced to buy or to sell. Not someone that is trying to jackpot, because you cannot use that person's transaction as a benchmark. For as rentals, or somebody
trying to rush to get the money. Or trying to say
exactly. Not that somebody just got a deal from politics and everything and was just looking for where to dump the money to, and the person goes into real estate, buys off the property without negotiating, and you say, for somebody to have bought this at 300 million naira, then mine should be this. What was the condition of the sale? So because we don't have those documentations, it is assumed that every transaction is market renter and market value transaction. So, but technically, you should have, when we do valuations, what we say is that reasonable period is maybe about 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, to be able to say you are not under pressure. You have an idea of several properties that have been sold or rented in the property, and you are not under pressure of 1 week to close out. Once you are under pressure within 1 week, 2 weeks to close out, you cannot get that. Exactly. And again, when there's something we call buyer's market and seller's market. So when you have more demand than supply, obviously it becomes a seller's market. When you have less demand than supply, oversupply in the market, it becomes a buyer's market. So those conditions, those factors affect. And if you look at Lagos, for instance, Lagos tilts more towards the seller's market than the buyer's market, except for some areas like land. That is when you try to see that there's a lot of supply when it comes to land at a certain level. But when it gets to small size properties, land in maybe Lekki, Ikoyi, VI, you see it tends towards the seller's market. And that is why people now consider JV because of prices. You don't have so much of those. Once you see a plot of land, 1,000 square meters in Ikoyi now, it doesn't stay in the market. It just goes off quickly. And now the person buys that property and builds something on it. He pays the market rate for his project. He pays the right price for cement, for iron, for everything.
Approvals are also very high.
Yes. So I say approvals come at market rates. Governments, not governments now, the procurement of materials, they all come at market rates. Banks will give you loans at market rates. So by the time you are selling, you want to create a market environment for yourself to say, how much as an entrepreneur should I earn from this? So at that point, that is when the market says, oh no, you should not charge us this amount because it seems to be overpriced. And that is why I advocate for a complete value chain analysis, right from the land up to the end. Who are the holders of those sections? How can we manage all those processes so that the end product does not become overpriced? Because government cannot take its own share of statutory fees at market rate. Then the seller and the buyer, the seller of the land are taking his own share. The laborers are taking their own share because they need to pay rentals, they need to pay school fees, and they will tell you, oh, this is the rate. Then it gets to the point of the bank's funding, they will tell you, oh, this is it, because they also have a benchmark for borrowing money, maybe even getting international funds. But by the time you are done and you get to the market, you also then say to yourself, if my cost is 300 million naira to put this together, land and everything, how much should I have on it for me to be okay? The only challenge is that some people are greedy. Some developers are greedy. They are not putting up the right quality. They have reduced quality, but they still want to earn, and that's where the overpriced circle comes in.
So is there a way to control this? Do you think, is it that it's just an unregulated environment? You're a member of some of those bodies that will probably be supposed to be in charge of this. I won't say, it's a bit difficult for even my own, the Institute of Architects to control certain things. But is there anything that is being done about it? And for you, what do you think might be a solution to something like that? I know in the UK, there are certain things you can do. There's a cap to some of these things. So is there something that can be done about sort of like regulating the price in terms of increase and all that? Or is it something that because there's no data capture or maybe there's no way to because how will I know that somebody did a transaction and made 1 billion? If it's not documented somewhere, So what do you think can be done?
Okay, so we say that investing in real estate in Nigeria operates in a free economy concept in such a way that anybody who buys into real estate and is for investment is also setting up an investment for diversification if possible. So if I have 100 million naira, I have the option of putting it in mutual funds to get maybe a 20%. Treasury bills. Recently, Sukuk came out from government, and I think it was about a 19.5 or 19% per annum. Now, risk-free. It means that if anybody is going to get income from real estate, you should have that plus, when you analyze all the risk, what should you get in return? And in investment, it is the higher the risk, the higher the return. So now, if I have decided not to put my money there, and I've decided to go to another investment, which is property, it means that there's a lot of risk in that aspect also. There could be delay in even finishing the project itself. I'm exposed to exchange rates risk. I'm exposed to interest rates risk. I'm even exposed to market risk. And, by the time I look at all of this, I'm saying to myself, what should happen at the end of the day? Now, it is because we isolate real estate investment when we are talking about these issues. If you want to control, it is better not to control. It's better to create policies that enable your markets to move in a certain direction. So that is why in these countries where we say they cap, check their interest rates, check their mortgage systems, check their exchange rates, check their education system, check their healthcare, check transportation. You see that there is some level of stability around all of these areas, so that people don't just add prices. For instance, when there's scarcity of fuel, you see how drivers of commercial buses increase their prices. Oh, there is queue at the filling station. They've not increased fuel prices. You just see them, they move their prices immediately, because they're already thinking of how long it will take me to get a liter of petrol, to fuel my car, to run my business in a day, to meet ends meet. So if I just need to run 5 trips, for instance, on 1 liter of petrol, it means that now I may not be able to run 5 trips anymore, because I probably will just be able to run 1 trip in a day, because I spent half of my time at the filling station. Who is going to pay for it? So I tell the market, if you are coming into my bus, please, my transport is no longer 100 naira per trip. It's now 200, 250. People start to scream. Oh, people start to walk. There are no buses around. People park their buses. And that's what happens. So when you don't create those enabling environments for people to move in a certain direction, what happens is some people will say, I'm not renting my property. People will start to beg some landlords for access. People will start to say, oh, I want you to give me this property for 2-3 years. Oh, I want to lock it down for 4 years. That's what commercial guys do. The players do. They prefer to pay lump sum, yes, because they want that guarantee and they can plan ahead. Yes, even I know,
you chase me away from here.
Exactly. I know somebody that just told me that if I can get this property for 2 years, I'll pay. Now I can, at this rate, I'll pay 2 years in advance. Why? I can plan with it, and it makes it easier for me. So when we say capping rent, what I then say is that, can we then look at it from another angle? When you look at the entire process, there's a lot of government influence that needs to occur. So I gave a narration somewhere, an example somewhere where I was speaking, and I said, think of this low-cost environment. Look at the Southwest. You know, when you get to Europe, you can move between Paris to Barcelona to all this, to Rome, easily. The connection is very, very easy. You can walk somewhere and you can use train to get in by weekend to work. Now imagine somebody living in Ondo State and is able to work in Lagos. Or somebody living in maybe Osogbo and is living in Osogbo but working in Lagos because of train. Now if there is a way you can create an economy around that, Lagos is eating 1 trillion. What is Ogun State eating? What is Oyo State eating? What is Ondo State eating? How are we leveraging from all of this to be able to create a geographical area that is very strong? Because if Lagos State does not move to understand this, the population, the demand is going to increase. There will be pressure on infrastructure. And if you don't create that synergy to say, guys, let's do this, let's create this hub in different, at the border points that would make it easy, integrate rail transportation across board, you will see more people come into Lagos. And that is why the pressure is there. Now, if I have those sections like we have in Free Trade Zone, I say to developers, I'm picking 5, 10 or 50 honest developers. I'm giving you these lots. I'm giving you these lots. Over a period of time, we're not going to ask for land use charge. This is the rate we're going to use for your approvals. So, but we want you to deliver this housing, this quality, these numbers within the space of 12 months. And these are the category of people that will be there. these are the kind of people that we want to buy into this property. Is either they want to use that investment if they feel like, or they stay there. Because sometimes when we say affordable housing, it is only there are some set of people that can actually afford it. So why not give it to some people that can actually afford it also, whilst you try to create a long-term mortgage for some other people, and you tell people to rent it, or you do the normal rent to own thing around that area. But at that point, one of the caveats is your rentals cannot go beyond this. Because what you are doing at that point, you are doing social intervention to be able to make rent available, houses available. You will see situations where maybe Osagie cannot afford to live in Ikeja, and saying, I like this idea, I will stay here. Osagie will be loyal to that environment, and it will be working in XYZ. Because of our tax system, government should be able to track what I'm doing with my BVN and everything, and ask people, oh, what is this guy? Where are we now on this? Where is this guy? Is he rising right now? Then at this point, you know what? If you're already at this level, you cannot continue to stay here, and you are now doing investment somewhere else. There's a way you create that framework whereby it is transferable to another generation or to another set of people, so that the community starts to benefit from it. In that area, you can actually, that's how you try to work towards it. And you then have more supply in that category, because the people really screaming about these rentals are the people at the low income level. Yes. You see people at the higher income level, they understand the fact that, this is the cost of property. This person now has a child abroad. School fees is in dollars. So the person is saying, my rent is, this person paid rent of 5 million naira last year. This year, this is the property I'm using to pay rent. Now they have increased their school fees, equivalent of 3.5 previously. I used to have 1.5 profit rent from this investment. Now these guys have increased school fees of my kids, equivalent, not just even increase, exchange rate has just doubled or something, and now I need to pay 7 million naira. So what do? I go back to the investment that I have. And that's where the pressure is. The pressure now goes back to the renter to say, you have to pay this. Now, I've also read on the internet where people say, I used to be a tenant, and I used to talk about this issue. But now, I own a place, I have a tenant. Now, I understand the different perspective. So there is need for a balanced perspective. And that's what I would say.
To help.
Yes, and that's why I would say to government or agencies that they need to engage the professionals. The Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers is there because of the diverse perspective they have as regards the housing space. They can advise to say, this is how to balance it. I will end this question by saying that a client engaged me and said, I want my rent increased by 100%. Mm-hmm. And truly speaking, truly speaking, when we looked at the portfolio, we saw that they've not been increasing rent over the years. Same. Yes, they've not. So there was now the need, because of some pressure, school fees, loans, and whatever it is. And when we analyzed, we saw that the market was around maybe a 1 million naira, and they were still at 450. So telling somebody, coming to Osagie to say, Osagie, your rent is now from 450 to 1 million naira. Wow, okay. And Osagie has been in the property for maybe, say, 6 years or 10 years. And his rent has not moved from 300 to 400. So Osagie is saying, that is too much. Now, I have to tell the client, I said, it is not the fault of the tenants that you have not moved rent over time. But moving rent suddenly from 450 to 1 million naira is not going to work. What's going to happen from there is, let's look at that bandwidth. Maybe a minimum threshold, a maximum threshold, and let's discuss with the people. Let's have a conversation with them. And truly speaking, that actually worked. Because it was obvious that, so I also said you have some vacant units.
People in this case, the tenants?
Yes.
Okay.
I said, so the vacant units there, we had to go to ask for market rental. Mm-hmm. And market rental then showed that even beyond the 1 million, it was around the 1.2. Mm-hmm. So it was clear to the tenants that, truly speaking, market has actually moved. But the owner of the property understands the fact that they cannot just move rent anyhow. And that's the place of professionals too, ensuring that there is sanity, not just saying, because if I collect 1 million naira, my fee is, if I say I'm collecting 10%, for instance, my fee is 100,000. If I'm collecting 400, my fee is 40,000 naira. So it pays me to even say 2 million. And that's where ethics comes in. And that's why I also say that one of the regulations that we could have is to say valuers should be engaged to value properties. They don't need to do the standard valuation. They can do what we call an abridged rental valuation to say, for this property, a one-page rental report to say, this is the property, this is it, it shouldn't be, it should be between this and this. It helps landlord and the tenants, right? And it becomes a situation where the court will, if there's a dispute, it must have been proven that parties have actually engaged a valuer to value, to advise as renters. When I was in the bank, one of the things we do every time we want to renew our rent, our tenancy, is to get in an independent valuer to advise on what the rental is. Based on that rental, we negotiate our rent with the landlord. We don't want to cheat you. We don't expect you to cheat us. And again, we are sitting tenants in this property. So how can we both meet at the middle? We know that you have put this up for an investment. We are also using this as a business. Yes. So we all need to meet together. So you can see that there are different angles to it. Primarily, there must be a benchmark from an independent opinion to provide guidance. Because if government sets a cap, an arbitrary cap, what it does to the people is it makes investments not attractive again. So it affects developers. People will not buy your properties anymore because they will say, I would rather just go into treasury bills. Yes. I would rather just go into mutual funds. I'll probably move the money out of the country and I know I'm fine. Then you start to have another series or category of issues in the market. Mm-hmm. So why not just look at it from a broader perspective? The issue is that there is a lack of trust. There's an issue about integrity. There's an issue about quality. There's an issue about social responsibility. Let's put all of those things on the table. Economic responsibility, social responsibility, and the governance responsibility, which is like the ESG. Apply it to this, and you will see the balance. It will help every party. So when people are developing, the developers, what do you call them now? The builders, the engineers that have certified the project are on one side. The architects are there. The valuers are saying this is the opinion. Because I say to myself, how long should an average building stand for? 12 years? 20 years, 50 years, what should be the cycle of maintenance on those projects? It also gives you an idea of what the owner should earn over time. But we should always remember that investment is about deferring today because of future income, and also putting into account time value of money. So once all stakeholders are able to consider this, it helps in terms of capping or not capping or throwing in policies or enabling environments.
Wow. Okay, so I think this will just take us to the next question about, you've been involved in facility management, valuations, advisory. You've dealt with a lot of properties. You've dealt with estates. You've dealt with different people. It's full of communication. It's full of trying to settle disputes, No, sometimes not even disputes with yourself and them. It's disputes with other people together, like having issues. So with facility management, I see it's a lot of headache. And for me, it's something I've seen that you need professionals to handle it. But obviously, you always have this thing of people not wanting to pay. And they're not wanting to pay because, once you just increase diesel rates, people just don't want to pay. They don't tell themselves the truth, and it's almost like they turn their heads to who they think they can blame in terms of facility management. But in some cases, some facility managers also take it for granted because there's a lot of money probably when they first of all just paid the service charge and all that. So you think you have money that is not yours, and then you get to spend it. I really don't know what it is. I just know that transparency is one key thing, and I know that. Apart from being transparent, them having some kind of stake in understanding what's going on is very important. But I want to share this facility management thing from the perspective of the developer and why the developer needs to engage professionals, trying as much as possible to see the best way to look through this is a pain point for them. Some are just bothered about, I want my estate to stay relevant so that I can sell in the future to the same guys or friends of the same guys. Some want to make money, right? And some are just trying to just survive. Like, look, I don't want to even, don't call me, So I want to know from the perspective of the developers, what's the right thing to do with facility management? In the perspective of the actual occupiers, whether owner occupiers or tenants, what is the approach? What do you think? And I know it differs in areas. Like if you're talking about Lekki, Ikoyi, VI, it's a lot easier to get your full money up front and all that. And they kind of like understand certain things. But when you get further down, there's war. So I want to know it from the owner/tenant perspective, owner occupier plus owner that is not occupying, that has a tenant. Those three cadres. I just want to understand what your experience has been like. What you think is the way forward? You can pick one or two stories or incidents where you can use to explain this very properly. But I feel that for developers like me, what's the way forward? If we partner and we try to understand this, what's the main reason for partnering with those professionals, and what's really the way forward?
Okay, thank you, Architect Jude. See, this matter of facilities management is a problem, and people are still trying to manage it, but it's going to get to a point where it escalates beyond what we have. And now it's not just about residential, private development, it's also about public infrastructure, public development. You go to the airport sometimes, a place like the Abuja airport, and you find that one escalator is not working. You go back the following day, it's not still working. 1 month, that tag is already dusty. You already know that this thing has been there for a while.
Yes.
And it is because of how we think. It is how we think. Everything, yes, John C. Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. And falling on leadership is not about the position. It is the thinking pattern of the people at the leadership point.
Culture.
Now, when it comes to developers, you ask yourself, I am putting up a project out there. Mm-hmm. When a developer says, this development is successful when it's fully sold out. Mm-hmm. But I say, you are not yet successful until that project actually sees the lifespan that you said is going to. Yeah. So how many developers can actually say, you know what, we are developing this and it's going to last 25, 30 years, give and take. If you see Lagos in Nigeria, you only have maybe a 5% because those ones are very honest about quality and what they have put in there. You'll see people say, you know what? No. Immediately, 2 rainy seasons come. They turn their back and they say, yes, that's the rule we have done. So what you are telling me is that your development was actually set for 2 rainy seasons. Mm-hmm. I was going to buy a belt, and I asked the guy at the counter, what's the warranty period for this belt? And the guy smiled. I had somebody that bought the belt from us, and after 2 years, he came, he was still wearing the belt. So are you saying it's 2 years? He smiled because he could not commit to it. Yes. So if we look at it really, that's where it starts from. What is the commitment of an average developer to the user of that product?
So you typically have with your standards in terms of building practice, if an architect was trying to do something, it was like giving a contractor 6 months defectability period and 2 rainy seasons.
Exactly.
Standard.
Yes.
So my question now goes to, do you think a developer to stick to that, even though you might have some developers that have that emotional attachment to the fact that I can't see this project in 5 years not looking okay. Someone like me, my reason is not money, facility management. My reason is, how can we keep the standard of this building while we're not there?
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
So
So that's where I'm going to now. So after the warranty period expires, people should still enjoy it. So that is why it is important to conceptualize projects holistically so that the lifespan that has been projected by the development team is actually actualized.
that's actual lifespan.
Actual lifespan. So if I'm saying this project is 30 years, so this is what I want us to do to ensure that in 30 years' time, I can still walk in and I'm fine. So there's a particular estate we manage, has been existing for more than 15 years. The success of that project or that estate is the fact that the developer conceptualized an estate that he was looking out for over 25, 30 years. So right from the beginning, from the planning to the systems that were on ground, they were not for after delivery and handover. They were beyond that date. They were a situation, it was a situation where they were saying to themselves after 5 years, oh, we developed this after 5 years ago. Look at the project. I think developers need to start to do that. Apart from handover dates or allocation, land allocation, where is that estate after 5 years? After 10 years? After 15 years? After 20 years? That gives good credibility to the developer and also helps in the system of facilities management. Now, I say that by the time I'm selling a project, I'm not just selling the building, I'm also selling the experience in that project. So it means that for a developer, you must document how the building or the estate is going to function. Same way you have the iPhone with its manual, you have a car with a manual, you have gadgets with their manuals. On maintenance, they tell you this is what you should do, this is what you should not do. What some developers have translated that into is rule book. You must not spread clothes, you must not. That is not facility management strategy document in itself. You must have something that is more robust, whereby it can outlive 10 years experience, 20 years experience, not something you need to drag with on an annual basis, oh, you have to do this. And that brings me back to the fact that if you have that, then you'll be able to ask yourself. In investment, we say, we use the formula discounted cash flow method in analyzing investments. So how often should people change maybe the roof? How often should they paint? How often should they maybe respray maybe the metal sheets or change the locks and some critical things in the building? Exactly. Now, because if those things are not properly documented, they don't provide the actual guide. And for developers, it's from the builders. It's from sometimes the architect. They give you an idea of, okay, this is what it's going to be. But the suppliers of those materials then tell you, this is the maintenance plan for this kind of roofing sheets. You document that. But what we do is we only buy the supply and we just leave it, and we would say to ourselves, okay, because these guys were the ones that fixed this roof, they will be the ones coming once in a while to maintain. And that's where the problem of facilities management also starts from. Now, there is the part of over-design. Now, I saw a project where there are 4 units in the compound, and each of those units had elevators. And they were just on 3 floors. And I was saying to myself, single units, elevator. Do you know the cost of power to an elevator in a property? Do you know the cost of each person having a swimming pool? And we say it is a shared community. So a lot of times developers churn out projects that are on their own expensive upon arrival. the kind of assets or equipment they put in do not encourage low energy consumption. The flow, the design of the building, in terms of energy consumption, windows, double glaze, they don't consider all of those things. And people don't understand that those are, as little as those things are, they are the things that lead to high cost of power. Now, I've seen situations where developers just call generator companies. I have this building, please check and tell me what kind of generator do I need. Most times, I end up getting to projects and I advise the owners or the tenants or the developer, this is too big for this facility. And they say, oh, it was this company that said we should use this. I said, they are selling. What they've assumed is everything in this building is going to be on at the same time, and they will be on every time like that. Yes, and I've said that is not possible. Yes, I said that's not possible. Whilst we have the higher level, you have the base level, and that is why you need an energy audit. When they do their stuff, they do the presentation to you, and you call in the facility manager, and that's why every developer must have a facility manager.
So this means that from what I hear from what you're saying, you probably need to start engaging the facility manager from even the design stage.
I won't mention names, but there's a mixed-use development currently in Lagos. And when they were going to do it, I saw that there were going to be issues with access and privacy. It has residential and commercial. And I was like, if you do it this way, it's going to disrupt the residential part. And if they had not sought the advice of a facility manager at that point, or an estate surveyor and valuer, they would have missed out that critical point, and it would be difficult to redesign. There was one we saw at the point of entry. We noticed that they were having single meters. And the way they ran the place, looking at the people that are going to use the place, we're going to have shortlets and private residences. We said that mix is going to be a major issue for you.
Single meters, what do you mean?
So they had single tariff meters.
Okay.
So it means that both generator and EKDs is going to run through and everything. And we said to them, you need to be careful because a private resident may want to have an inverter. So by the time you mix everything, it will be a problem. They may want to save on generator. So how do you plan that? Because once you are building, you must look at who you are building for.
Yes.
And you tell the people, the subscribers, this is what this building is being planned for. Yes. So in future, if there is a shift, they all understand the fact that there has been a shift in the use of the property. So the cost of running services or the kind of services that will be required will change. But when we build, because it's residential, it is assumed that, it's for all commerce. Once it's related to staying in the property, or the developer should say, for this 2-bedroom, this is the occupancy stuff we have designed it for. This is why we have this size of generator set. So that when people come in, they won't come back to say, there was a generator. The man gave us this small generator, or he gave us this big generator, and it was not working for us anymore. And it's so easy for the market to label developers negatively. And that is why design thinking is very critical. And I say to developers, it is not expensive to have a facility manager as part of it, because they're not going to be on that process every day or every week. It gets to a certain point where they need to now get to sites to be sure that who is this plumber, what are you doing with this, are you able to shut down this apartment, are you able to close this, because those are the issues you then find that are very difficult when you are running maintenance.
So the thing is that,
or let me get to roof level first.
That's not their concern.
And that's why I say most developers are thinking short term. But you forget the fact that your products you are bringing and you are pitching to someone is for long term. And the happier people are on the long term with the investments they've made into your own development, the better for you in terms of repeat businesses. And, if you're able to look at life cycle costing of your projects, it will be easier for you to price some of your projects higher. Because you are looking at it end to end. Madam, this is what we have. This is what you can, this is the value you are getting. You ask some people, what value are you selling to the customer? What they tell you is, I'm using quality rods. Oh, the size is big. Oh, the location is just close to, there's no flood here. Beyond all of this, naturally, nobody wants nobody wants to have a small size that is tiny, where when they sit in the restroom, once they do that, it's wall to wall. They don't want that, definitely. Then the question is, beyond that, what are you selling? Beyond having one green area, obviously you're not going to give one man 3 parking slots because he's maybe in a 1 bed.
Yes.
You're not going to give him 3 slots. So what else are you going to give him? And that's why you've seen 1 or 2 developers start to say, this is your energy, this is how your energy cost is going to be. This is the cost savings you are going to get if you buy into this. Then they start to compare with where they are. That means right now, if I'm assuming this project has been completed, your energy cost cannot be more than XYZ based on what we have analyzed. Oh, fantastic. And it is because of the place of the facility manager. Now, in a particular engagement, their energy was very high. And I spoke with them. I said, give me 3 months. This is what we are doing. This is what we're doing. And when they saw the trend was coming down, they called in and said, we have seen the changes already. And when EKDC came with one strange bill, and we had to complain to them, they also came back to say, we noticed that this has gone up. What is the issue? We explained to them, say, we know you are in charge of it, and we are fine. And that speaks to that transparency. You see, evolving a facility manager at the beginning is part of the intention of the developer to be transparent. If you don't want to be ethical, if you don't want to be transparent, you will not bring in a facility manager, because the facility manager is going to think on behalf of the users of the assets itself. And that's why I always say, and I know we are going to get there, that when people are buying properties, they should speak to 1 or 2 facility managers to also be on this side, or estate surveyors and valuers who don't just help them buy properties, but help them manage properties that can guide also. Now, I would then say that for developers, if you have your deed of assignment, you have your sales contract of sale, you have your offer letter. Those are technically like 3 documents. Another one people put together is maybe rules, guidelines, and that's what they call it.
But at what point?
But what I will say is that the process should be, when I'm designing, the architect, this is the land, and this is what the architect has done, and you are reviewing design. A facility manager should review that design that has been done by the architect, and even the electrical and plumbing systems, because you want to see the design of the tank. A developer did. I don't know if you heard about the news of the tank, the stanchion that fell on someone's apartment.
Yes.
And you can see proximity. Some people will not see it, but the operators of the property will be able to see it and say, developer, please don't put this. That is a facility manager helping you mitigate on possible risk. Now, when you have, there's a particular one that we had to walk away from. The tank that he had could only serve about 30 people, but he's using it to serve about 90, and he was still going to extend it to about 120. I said, sir, you need to change this tank. And he said, no, I have done it. If they are not okay, they should all have tanks. They had one small stuff at their back. I said, sir, we are sorry. If they are not going to do this, we are going to work it, because it's going to be a stain. Because people will start to call the facility manager, we don't have water. They forget the fact that it starts from the design. What did the developer design? So when you are done with the review, get the comments of the facility manager, documented, to say, okay, we agree to this, and this is what we would implement. This is our thought, this is our reasons. It's not as if the facility manager is a government or an inspector in a way. He's just a partner in that process. So they look at it, and there's a final position of review to say, okay, it's true, let's do it this way, or let's change this, or we know about a technology you can use, because the facility manager, who is a traditional estate surveyor and valuer, has the experience of managing multiple properties. So he says, do it this way, you won't have issues. Now, once that is sorted at that point, the developer, please do not start to say you are selling because you don't have a design and all these ones yet. People want to put in their money and all, but never be in a hurry. Now, when we have the design set and we are sure that this is what we want to do, we know that there might be one or two minor changes, but still, that will leave it to change
design,
management.
What are the things you're checking as a facility manager?
Okay, from the facility manager's perspective, one, we're looking at the land size, the flow of traffic,
location,
in and out. We're looking at the security. Is there going to be a pedestrian access, or is just going to be a double volume gate that you're just going to provide for them? What's their restroom? Some people will put the gates here and put the guy's restroom there, and it's for 6 units. Now, if you have 6 units on that property, and maybe 2 bedrooms each, and you have the security guard here, and his toilet or bathroom is at the back. In the morning, when these guys are going out, he will tell you, "Oga, na toilet are there." So people will start to complain. We don't like this guy, but it all starts from design, security. Oh, there's a car outside. The guy has to go and check. By the time he goes, they pull out a gun, they bring the guy in, they say, "Oh, we don't have security here." It's part of the design, because all of those things help to make management and operations of the property easier. I say to people that sometimes you think you will spend, facility manager can make you spend a little more, but you will save it in your price because you'll be able to tell people that this is what the outcome is going to be. Yes. And I say to people that I have sold a property using a nail before, because it was well built. And the people who stayed in one of the properties built by the development company said, the way that, yes, I agree with you, Osagie. We were trying to just hang a paint on the wall, and it was difficult to drill the wall. And that's quality. So now, once we have that, so that's one part of the stuff. We also look at what would be the flow of power. What's the power system like around there? Do they have a good transformer, public transformer? Who are the people around? Are they well-to-do? They have a voice. They can all come together to make decisions. So do we really need a transformer, or we don't need a transformer? 2, again, we're looking at the metering systems. How do you make those decisions there? Again, you're asking yourself, what size of generator do we really need? Where are we going to put the diesel tank, for instance? See what kind of sewage system do we really need? Water itself, waste bin. How do we manage waste collection? How do we create, what do you call it now? Emergency exits in the facility? Who are we? Who are our neighbors? How do we want to position this property within this environment? If there are visitors, where would they park? If the compound is already for 6 units, would there be an overflow? Yes. How is the street like? How is the road like?
So it's very key. It's very key for
exactly.
Design stage.
So you then say to yourself again, what if it's a 2-bedroom? What if you now have 4 shortlets and 2 residential? How do you manage it? So the work of the facility manager there is to look at all the risk, because we say anything that can happen may happen. And when they happen, what do we do? Let it be that at design stage we have been so flexible enough to allow when those things come in, to make some adjustments to it. Yeah. So when you have all of these things and you have reviewed and you have gone to that point, the offer letter is already stating that this is going to be a serviced environment.
So that's on the offer letter.
Offer letter. So there is a signal to the people that it is not self-serviced. Yes. It is jointly managed by. Is stating it on the offer letter that it's going to be managed by a company that will be assigned by the developer or jointly assigned by the occupants, clearly stated from there. So there's no ambiguity. There's nothing like you try to slice the onions into the pie and everything. So it is clear to everybody that this is what we are signing in for. So at the point of offer letter, okay, they say, okay, do you have, the next thing they will ask you.
So based on this thing.
Yes, they will ask you immediately. So who are the facility managers? What is the service charge like? Then it is important the facility manager would have given you what the services are and what the levels of services are going to be.
So what document is that?
So that document is going to be the facility management handbook.
Perfect.
So it is not technically rule book.
Yes.
Handbook, how decisions are made.
Just a guide. Tell them how it's going.
This is how it's going to be. If you are going to procure services, this is what it's going to be like. This is going to be. The issue is that a lot of people see some documents, and some people have called me. Osagie, I need this template. And I find it strange. Because it's the same way people call lawyers or call some people, I beg you, get this agreement. Why? Because they feel they can copy and they just use it. Yes. Whereas I was saying to some people that the tenancy agreement is a risk management tool. Any agreement you sign is a risk management tool. Because you're not doing it with yourself, you are doing it with someone else. So there's a risk already doing something with somebody. So managing that risk or possible risk is the reason you're having an agreement. It's not because you don't trust the person, so that the two of you don't need to sit down and start to think of what to do. Yes. Once it's already documented that, you see, once it's 6 o'clock, we shut down all power on the first level, second level. Everybody goes to the third level. Then from there, we move here. In event of any fire incident and the alarm comes up, please just drop everything you have, go outside. If you don't have that and there's fire, you will see the chaos that will be created here.
People will just go anyhow.
People will just jump in. Some people may go into the elevator at that point in time. And it's because you don't have a robust system already documented. And once you have that documented, you then need to have another document that makes them say they have gone through the offer letter, gone through the contract of sale, gone through this, and they agree to everything, and they move and they sign.
So that's in the buying, at the point of
buying. Yeah. Because they have bought into it. And that document is, because a lot of times, we are here. We think we can see 20 years' time. We'll not be able to see 20 years' time. But experienced facility managers can tell you what can happen in 5 years. They may not tell you precisely, but the kind of thing that can go wrong. Assets can break down. So if they break down, what happens? If you are running this system, do you need a reserve fund? Do you need a sinking fund? What should you do with the sinking fund? How should you work with the sinking fund? Who should be the signatories to the sinking fund, for instance? Or if there's a dispute between two owners, or a tenant and the landlord, or a landlord is trying to move out a tenant. So there are a lot of issues around it, and it's also a function of the properties. So for Emerald, if I'm going to do something for Emerald, it's going to be different from what I would do for the project Almond. It's going to be different from Ikeja Jerry. It's going to be different from Marvin, because I need to look at all the risk. And once somebody is coming in, I understand the risk this person is bringing in, and I include it in his tenancy agreement. I don't use the same tenancy agreement for everybody in a building. I work with the lawyers and say, lawyer, this is the risk about that
template and sharing it.
Exactly. You know, we have biodata. When people feel biodata, it is not just KYC for regulatory purposes. It's for you to be able to know who is coming in. I understand the mix. The mix in residential is the mix of, I have 4 tenants, occupants, and they are all bankers. There's a risk already. If there's an issue with the financial sector, there's going to be an issue with service charge. These guys will come together and say there's no money.
Yes, and they will have that.
They will tell you there's no money. So you want to spread the industry. Same way you look at businesses. Oh, what kind of businesses? Are they all business name basis? Are they partnerships? Are they limited? Who is funding? All of those things would guide me to say, I don't want this person, even if the person can pay, because I already have 2. They already make up maybe 20% of the tenants. If I had this one, it's going to be 30%. The risk is becoming skewed towards them. I want it to be balanced, so I'm not skewed to any section. So you can see that it involves a lot. Yes. So at the end of the day, you then find a situation where developers tell you, there's nothing in this thing, I can handle it. And I've seen a situation where a developer will say, you know what, apart from once you've done this budget, your budget is 1 million naira per month. Add 40% on it. That 40% is going to be mine. I've walked out from such engagement because for me, it's unethical.
Yes.
And
you can't justify it.
You can't justify, and there must be transparency. For us, what we do is there must be access to accounts. They must see the budgets.
I feel that's basically that once you can show that working, you actually have it sorted out.
Exactly. And somebody has asked me before, Osagie, how do you, I know you do, one of the things you do apart from valuation and helping people buy, sell, or do rental management is facility management. That service charge and diesel money, it's temptation. I said, Chief, I don't understand. For me, it is not temptation.
Yes.
Temptation arises when you think you have control over the other person's item or the item that is not yours.
So that means there has to be a level of character.
Yes.
The person has to. I've heard a lot of stories about 1004, a lot of stories about different places, So, you see that big paid by so many people, boom, into the account. You think, oh, we have this money, but it's actually other people's money.
Yes.
And I think then the moment they pay that money to you, they already assume everybody's a thief. So the idea is the onus is on you to extra show that.
Yes.
I will show you the workings so that you would understand what I do. So stemming from that first document you get, from your advice, the moment they are now consummating the transaction, the moment they are closing out delivery, what should be that transition from the developer to the facility manager? So
what should happen is the facility manager and maybe the service department should work hand in hand in terms of communication. And also what should happen is once the development has been closed out, the facility manager is maybe about 6 months to the handover date. Facility manager is checking. There's something we call readiness analysis or assessment to be sure that the property is ready for habitation. I know Lagos State has this habitation certificate, but beyond that, my perspective, you need estate surveyors and valuers to be able to come in to say to you that we have looked at it, we have run all the checks, and this property is now ready for habitation in terms of being professionally managed.
So let's assume we are not waiting for Lagos State government. It would be advisable to call professionals in and be able to give a signed document to say, well, we've checked all this.
Yes.
And we feel it's okay. Just the way you cast a slab and you tell the structural guy, guy to clear.
Exactly.
And if it's not working, you as a developer can even bring that consortium together.
Yes.
And say, look, guys, let's sign this off so that people will be more confident, buyers, owners, tenants will be more confident to say they are moving into this property. Do you think there's a separate signed document, maybe a facility management agreement? I don't know. Like, what do you think? I mean, you're having service charge. You are telling people there to pay. Do you think there should be a separate document signed as at the point of moving in?
Okay, so remember, they would have signed a document agreeing to the system.
Handbook. Yeah, but don't forget that's the buyer. So we know we still have the tenant.
So if you now have a tenant, every buyer, that's why I said you can see it's all inclusive. There would have been a clause or clauses for investment properties. Every tenant, every landlord must submit a sample of the tenancy agreement to the facility manager.
It's very key.
So that we are already aware that you are not, just like saying you have the constitution and you have an agreement. No agreement you sign can supersede the Constitution of Nigeria. No agreement you sign can say, you know what, can upturn the Lagos State law in a way. So definitely whatever you have, because that interest is now between someone with a lower interest and yours, it cannot supersede the interest that you share with somebody at your own level in terms of interest. Real estate is a bundle of rights. So you must understand the hierarchy of those rights to be able to know the flow of documentation. So once you already have that, what they are doing is you have clearance. We have cited the tenancy agreement. We have looked at the person also. So the person is going to the owner of the property is going to submit the person's name for due diligence. in the facility, because you don't want to say it's all about money, and you bring in somebody who is mischievous, who is carrying out an illegal business. Yes, you probably would have done yours and submitted. If the facility management team feels they still need to double check something, they will let you know that there's a need to double check something, and they will confirm. Nice. Because of the network I have, because as a professional you need to have that. It's a particular estate where they had to bounce a prospective tenant that we can't give you this place, because they checked and they found out that the two ladies were always going to stay in estates. Staying there, they will stay there for about 2, 3, 4 years. Within those 2 years or 3 years, they would have recruited young girls into lesbianism.
Wow.
Yes, it was confirmed.
How easy was it to get that kind of information?
It's background. So you give us details. You are coming from here, there. There will be something will tie you. So the way you do legal search, root title, there must be root character. Where is this person coming from? If you cannot trace the roots, there's no point. If you cannot trace the roots, then it must be that somebody of high character is standing for you. That means you are connected to that.
That's where the part of your guarantor comes in.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that guarantor is not just, so some people just say, okay, they are field guarantor. No. We'll call the guarantor. There was one that the guarantor said, Wale wants to, I know Wale very well, he's very hardworking. We are telling me Wale wants to rent a house of 20 million naira. Kolowe now. Kolowe, but you can give him. I said, okay, sir, the reason why we are having this conversation is because if Wale cannot pay, you'll be the one to pay, sir. No, I know Wale cannot pay. That's already a risk. So what should we do, sir? Just tell Wale that you tried to reach me, and I've just been very busy. I know how to handle the other side with Wale. He was not ready to expose himself. He was just ready to manage. Just imagine we just have that. The man will say, no, you didn't tell me this was what he was going to. So it is not about just the documentation. The buyers, the renters, have you sat down with them to go through the documents with them and made them understand, clause by clause, is there any one you do not understand that you need confirmation from or clarifications from, so that what you're trying to do is reduce the need for disputes. Yes. And they will be the champions of the document for you. Yes. Not wrong interpreters of the documents at the end of the day. Yeah. So for that document, that check off, that sign off is just to say that they have done everything in line with the offer letter, the contractors, because there are obligations in offer letter. There are obligations in contract of sale. There are obligations in the deed, even facility management document, and they can now move in. That's just what that final stuff talks about.
Perfect. So, I mean, that sheds a lot of light, Osagie. So, lastly, I was just going to the emerging markets. Real estate generally, this space, Lagos, what's happening, technology, where do you think real estate is going next 5-10 years?
Okay.
What's your foresight?
All right. So, permit me, before we go into that, to touch a bit on the service charge matter.
Yes.
Please. Because I know we dealt a lot with the developers.
Yes.
But it's important for renters to know that whilst I understand the fact that there are a lot of there are situations where the service charge that are being paid are outrageous. And I would also want to say sometimes overly overpriced. There is the place of the design. They should not be quick to say the agent is spending so much. Why is this? Are we spending so much? In a place where normally water should be maybe a deep bowl, industrial bowl, and the person dug a shallow bowl.
That's a problem.
That's a problem already. So you need to spend millions to treat the water. So the renters are the ones with the burden to treat the water.
Yes.
And that is why it's important when someone is renting a property, you just take a survey. A professional who understands that market will tell you, the water they have here, please let's not buy into this. There's an issue here because this is going to be a major problem for us. Because this water, this is what they should have done. Or this elevator, you should have a UPS of this KVA so that lifts don't just go off when there is no light. And you start to complain, oh, I'm trapped in the elevator. Or you have suspended swimming pools. You ask what are the basic checks that your professional should have checked for you. So what are the costs of maintenance? Are you able to, what's your threshold for service charge? What's your threshold for power? We look at the generator for you, I will tell you the generator here for these numbers, even giving these allowances, your bill will be high because you'll be wasting money. It's not right sized. Assuming it's right sized is a different thing. A right sized power system is better than an oversized power system or undersized, because you may be, one day you may just be coming home, you want to do something, and the next thing they'll tell you the generator is not coming on because it just shut down. It's shut down, and you want to look at the people within the mix. Who are they? What category of people are they? Have they stayed in service apartments before? A professional estate surveyor an estate surveyor and valuer would be able to advise you on all of these things, given their experience in the market. If somebody says to me, you know what, this new building here, this corner, I want to take it, I can ask questions. I know what to do to get some fundamentals, to advise my client, you know what, there's no point getting into that property. Just be patient. Let's go somewhere else. Because one thing I tell people is, if you want me to do something for you, you just need to be patient, because you need to find out the truth.
So you get to the bottom
exactly.
of it.
But if you're in a hurry, I tell you, it can be 50-50 based on my advice to you. But we need time to be able to do the right thing and get the right thing from you. So now, switching to the future of...
No, before that,
okay.
So I mean, clearly there's that introduction of a backup, which is where some conversations of sinking fund comes in. How do you pass that through? Not everybody, and whose obligation is it? Is it landlord? Is it landowner? Is it the house owner or the tenant?
So, both. Ideally, both. However, remember what we said about the facility strategy book. That is where you decide sinking fund. Who is going to be paying and what is going to be used for? What percentage will be retained if the money that is available for spend for the year is not enough? How do you augment it? Where will you augment it from? Who will be? How long are you going to? Is it going to take? If people don't then pay, what will you then do next? So you can see why I talked about that book. That document is all inclusive. That manual is all inclusive.
Tells you everything.
Yes, it's all inclusive of everything, rather, of what is required. You don't leave anything to chance. You just assume that if you're going to paint, who should pay for painting? I'm a tenant. Why should I do that? So now it's the philosophy of how you want to manage the place that determines that. When people pay, a portion of this service charge goes as sinking fund. That sinking fund is also supposed to take care of all of these things, right? It cannot be enough. Because think about it, even I can tell you the quality of generators we have now, and transformers, they are not what they used to be. They are no longer the way they used to be. So they are coming in compact sizes, and they are reducing the lifespan of those assets, actually. So that's why the people will tell you, old RMU, no matter how rickety looking it appears, sometimes better than some new ones, depending on the brand. There are some brands that you can't find anymore.
What are RMUs?
The part of the power systems, actually, to help in regulating power and transform. It's a way of protecting the assets also. Okay. Yes, it's a safety device also in the power supply system. Yeah. When you have for instance, an estate that has maybe 600 or 500 residents, you have the RMU seated in the facility. Now, what happens is that because that's why we need to understand the lifespan. How often would I need to replace my generator? In our system, in our document, we have agreed that once the generator does 10,000 hours, it should do maybe overhauling.
Yes.
Maybe we say when it gets to 20,000 hours and it's still working, sell off.
You can get the best value out of it.
So you can see why I talked about is a comprehensive document of how you want to manage
everything. Is stated there,
everything.
almost like a full guideline.
So if you say, for instance, commercial, what's the policy of some companies? They will tell you after 4 years, you sell off the ACs. They are fully depreciated. They don't wait for them to break down because they feel what they will cost the company is more than what the company would think is saving by keeping them in the facility,
Very
right?
true.
So once you have that, the sinking fund can never be enough because there must be a principle around how the sinking fund is managed. We call it a fund, so it has to be properly managed. Who would be the signatories to the accounts? What kind of investments are you going to probably have? What should it be? Should it be 10%? Should it be 15%? Should it be just in an asset, in a fund or investment where there is liquidity? What do we want to use it to do? Are there other ways of generating income in that estate, in that facility that would also help cushion the impact of maybe power or service charge at the end of the day? So all of those things need to be considered. And if you find a possible commercial business to do, how would that play out in the operations of the business? So once you have all of this, it then translates into the relationship between the landlord and the tenant. And that is why the document between the landlord and the tenant would clearly state who amongst them is going to be held responsible. However, from the facility manager's perspective, it is the assets that is built.
Yes.
Just like land use charge is built on the property. If you like, if it's your
like
pastor,
if
it is your brother-in-law, if it's your sister-in-law, if it's your grandmother that wants to pay it for you, fine. But for as far as Lagos State is concerned, it is built to the property. EKDC, if you like, if your landlord that is paying, you're clearing your bills, we don't mind. Ours is that this facility has used this amount. This property has used this amount. So depending on the relationship you have or the agreement you are signing with the owner of the property, all we want is somebody is going to pay. You just communicate to the facility manager how this unit will be paying. That is where the compliance lies. So all of those things need to be put together, and that's why even when I talk to people, I said it that engaging a facility manager as a developer at the development stage is not so expensive, because what the facility manager would help you save.
Yes.
It will give you peace of mind that you cannot find in terms of when compared to when those issues actually start.
Yes.
Because people feel facility managers are magicians. They are not magicians. When the trouble is there, the trouble is going to be there. When the trouble starts at the hospital, the doctor needs to take the patient into intensive care unit. Oh, it has to run through that process naturally. You get. So it's same way with facility managers. Then they start to manage it, and people start to say, oh, if you can solve this problem for me, then you are a facility manager. No. Actually, if the doctor cannot solve that problem, it doesn't mean he's not a doctor. The question is, why did that issue deteriorate to that point? Yes. Why didn't you prevent it by engaging the professional from the beginning? But the way the society tends to define a professional, if the professional can help them solve that problem, then the person becomes a real professional. But first, a professional helps you to prevent a problem. A professional is not someone who has the opportunity to prevent a problem, but does not prevent it and takes you into that problem. That is when we say the person is a professional. But now, an advanced, experienced person might then be somebody that's a professional that can help you solve a problem. But there are some problems that are already dead. That all you just need to do is probably bring down the building. Just like calling an architect to say, this building, I want to help me renovate this 3-bed or duplex into 4 flats. Whereas there are cracks everywhere.
Yes, you have to break down everything.
So the man will tell you, okay, as much as I'm a professional and I can do it, given this what is standing, it has to come down. We need to go to Lagos State for approvals to do whatever I want to do. So that perspective is also part of the issue in the market, and we need to understand. We even getting to a point where people are saying, should service charge be less than power? Power is becoming more expensive than even rents. And it's an issue of band A, band B. Now we have, in the news, we are being told that very soon, most likely energy prices will go up. And I had already said it to people around me that band A has come, right? You think the government or the suppliers of power will just tell some people to pay 200 and something, while some people will be at 68 naira, guys. Please just get ready for your own time. And the issue is not about even the payments, getting the power based on what you have agreed. That's another thing. And again, if it's also a function of the hybrid system. Now, government is saying solar panels, we need to maybe get them locally because of the ban in solar importation of some of those things. So it tells you the dynamics in the power system. And if you look at the cost of generator, if your generator is not well sized, right sized, it means you'll be sucking diesel. And I know places where on the average their diesel, their energy power cost is 1 million per month. 1 million per month. I know some that are 500 per month. I know some that are like 250, 200. That's always where the fight in facility management starts from. Before they get into the service charge. We are paying this IB, we want to compare it with this, but I tell people, no two facilities are the same thing. No two generators are the same thing. The way you use power here is different from the way you use power the next building. Yes. If you are going to compare, people say, the grass is greener on the other side. They say, check their water bill. Probably you understand.
It might be another thing entirely.
Exactly. So
I think we'll just take the conversation to the future. The future question, the question about the future and what you think about real estate generally, Nigeria.
Okay. So I think one, improved market awareness. And I think that's something that a lot of people in the market were not considering. And in other professions like the accounting and accounting, law, legal, I would say even accounting, they've been able to force themselves into full disclosure. We're getting to a point in the real estate market where full disclosure is going to be demanded. It's either you provide it or you don't provide it. At a meeting, one of the meetings I attended, I think early this year or late last year, I was telling a group of investors that were thinking of coming to Nigeria, and I said, we need to get to the point in Nigeria also where developers, when they develop and they're giving offer letters, they describe all their materials. The size, square, everything, finishing, yes, to say this is what is going to be. The kitchenette will be made up, it will be made of this kind of wood. So the roofing sheets is going to be this, the generator, this is the size, the price, and everything. If there's this is the rate today, because it was a conversation of how should developers now start to manage these fluctuations. And I said it's about transparency. If I know that if I send somebody to the market, price of maybe transportation is 500 naira to fro, and the cost of that item is 1,000. That means total cost is 1,500. But the person never tells me transportation cost and just tells me it's 1,500. I will always think the person is making 1,000. Maybe transportation and everything is just 500. But the day you now come back to me to say, please, pay 1,000 more, it will never make sense to me because I was never in that equation.
Yes.
So we get into the point where what people make out of the production will be open to people. It will be certain that, okay, they are making this figure to this figure, and it's clear.
Yes, it's clear.
And every additional stuff, okay, I'm not cheating you. This is what is going to happen. And it's not just on that. It's also in the area of rentals. People are now beginning to be more aware of their rights as a tenant, because you see in social media things that people should know that they sign to, they don't even know. Like I saw the issue of the lady who rented a place, renovated it, 1 year landlord says leave.
Yeah,
And she never got any consent from the landlord to do that. Every agreement, that's a standard clause a lawyer will put there. Like if you're going to do anything, you will seek the consent of the lawyer. So now it will get to the point where people would have not just a doctor and a pastor or a imam. Now they know they will need to get a lawyer and a professional.
Yes.
Just close by. So if I need to do this, I need to pay for this, for that guidance, for that help. And that is where the market is. Now, when it comes to government, we're getting to the point where people they now have a means of demanding for quality governance from the government, from associations, whereby if they just call the Institute of Architects out and the institute, the president or the ESCOs will want to respond almost immediately that people are talking, we need to hear. So that inclusiveness is also going to be heightened from that perspective in terms of also governance. So you will see more of that in the real estate space where people will be shouting, please reduce the price of cement, help these developers. So it means that there will be need for more market engagement so that they are aware of the challenges of these people. Like look at what happened during Dangote. That was what they did. That was the cards on the table. They came out with transparency. They threw everything on the table. Recently he said, for every 1 naira, government makes XYZ. People are already analyzing how much government makes because tomorrow, if Dangote says my diesel or my petrol is going up by XYZ, people will say, oh, it's fine, because they are aware. So that means transparency, full disclosure is going to be heightened. Now, when it comes to the area of unethical behaviors, people will be checkmated. More people will be checkmated now. If you don't do the right thing, there will be a problem. Your business cannot be sustained. You will be reported, and it will be clear to everybody that you are not supposed to be in that space. Now, when it comes to technology is moving, but I see technology still at its very infant stage in Nigeria. You have the only thing that you're seeing more in technology right now. It has to do with energy related, smart homes, and all those things. But the infusion of energy from the AI perspective to the agent AI also, from the, what do you call that word now? Generative AI and the agent AI thing, they are still at the infant stage. A lot of businesses, what they are using more are the generative AIs to solve some issues, customer service stuff, letters, and some of those administrative assignments, right? Currently, I have something. I have a device that I use that if I'm on a report, I can describe the report, talk about the report, go into some details, and the AI is going to bring it out for me the way I have described it to it. So I was able to get that device, and it's helping me. So because people want to use it to save time on those mundane routine works, right? Now, but from the aspect of leveraging on technology, apart from what people like Build Africa and Construct are doing, is it Construct now? Yeah. The one from John.
Yeah, Construct.
Yes. For what they are doing, and from the people like Good Tenants, CSEF, the owners of Instanta, you see that they are more or less enablers of the production line of different sectors, like facility managers. They help from the back end. This other one, Build Africa Construct, they help with the procurement side, and then you see the other ones like the workplace management systems, HR, legal aid, and all. So that is where we are currently, and it's also because of our level of trust. Also, in the aspect of finance, if I give you a platform now, I say, okay, you'll be paying through this platform. You wonder which platform. If I'm not, is this CBN? Is it? So I know an agent. He will never give you his bank account. If you want to pay rent, no matter the amount, it's either check or bank draft. For many years I dealt with him. I never knew his bank account number. And you just wonder, life has gone beyond this. I just do transfer and everything. It's not bothered about that. So it is important for us to also note that
adaptability too.
Yes. In the future, we are all moving towards that technology adaptation thing, but it is not going to be so forceful. Remember, look at 10 years back, people will tell you 5 years back, oh, we are moving very fast. Not yet, because for technology to also work well, you must look at our systems, the government. Are they using technology?
To adapt it.
Are they using technology? Our airports are already changing because of that. Biometrics. We are already having such. Now, some agencies, some firms are coming up with those biometrics checks also to say if somebody is looking for a house, if you can get the person's information, they can run a check. So with this this policy about open banking, or what do you call it now? Yes, it will help a lot of things in the industry. Yes, data. Exactly, because that is where I see a connection. So in addition to what I've said, the new policy about open banking is also going to throw up a lot of opportunities because
in terms of
data information flowing. So it's going to help developers. It's going to help agents. It's going to help the real estate industry to be able to project whatever they're doing. And also, you will see a lot of prop tech coming, because some would be for verification of credit. Some will be for accessing some loans through some banks, because it's going to be more integrated at that point in time. So I think for us in Africa, for us in Nigeria particularly, it's a function of the platform, the leverage that we are having, that is being created by governments, government-backed leverage that would actually help us. So 5-10 years time, yes, more prop techs will come in.
Nice.
They will try to be more impactful in the environment, but more especially, I would want to see the associations being at the forefront of these innovative ideas as regards technology. That's architects, estate surveyors,
that's where all the professionals are. Anyways.
Yes, they have to look for a way to create a synergy, because we can't leave the market, the consumers, to be the one to checkmate us. We need to checkmate ourselves. We need to drive things ourselves for the future of the professions.
Perfect. Osagie, always nice having you. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Again, we'll probably have a more rounded conversation with other professionals in the room. That's one of the new things we want to just introduce to the roundtable. But always great having you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, cheers.
Thank you.